The chair now recognizes myself for 5 minutes for questions. I want to thank the witnesses for being here today and for your testimony. Appreciate it. The district I represent in central and west central Illinois is a very rural district. I have 5 racetracks in my district. I have lots of tractor pull competitions throughout my district. And I've been amazed at the industry that's really been created by my racetracks, and whether those are garages or mechanic facilities, small and medium-sized businesses throughout my district. And if you come to my district in the summertime, you know, the opportunities that have been created by the racing industry is really amazing. These tracks in my district almost on every weekend are full of families and young people, people that go there for enjoyment in watching, you know, the activities that go on there. And I guess what puzzles me in sitting here in the hearing today is we as policymakers look at implementing a rule or passing a law to solve a problem that's out there, something that needs to be fixed, a void that's there. And when you think about the 46 years of precedent that was mentioned earlier in why this is being done now, I mean, it's what makes people cynical about government in some ways, distrustful that an agency like this can come in and implement something like this. And I'm trying to see, you know, where are the complaints out there? Where are the issues that we need to fix? And I don't see it in my district, whether that's, you know, newspaper articles being written or protesters at events or police reports being filed, anything that kind of anecdotally or otherwise would tell us there's a problem that needs to be fixed here. And I would guess in your industry in North Carolina or anywhere else in the country, have you seen that anywhere, you know, people complaining we need to fix this? Mr. Kersting, I would ask you that first.
So I think this is kind of inside baseball with the regulators. This is something that in their area of concern they pay some attention to, but I think it's important to recognize what we're really talking about here. Even in the instance where the EPA is concerned about a part finding its way onto a street vehicle, we're talking about the incremental emissions difference between whatever is the certified equipment and whatever is the racing part. And we're looking at the emissions that are generated there in the scheme of vehicle miles traveled annually by a car park of 200 million vehicles. So how much of this is really going on by way of a percentage of overall automotive emissions? It's a very small fraction. And in that regard, I believe that EPA should work with the industry to come up with better approaches to regulate at the level they're really aiming at. That is to say, illegal parts going on street vehicles. To do that by drawing a line around racing and calling any conversion of street vehicles, any alteration from the certified configuration illegal is ridiculous overkill and really kind of unrelated.
Right. Mr. Sheheen, you have a comment on that?
You know, I would tell you that the thing that most people might complain about at the racetrack is that their guy didn't win.
Right.
They're just hoping it was the other guy. You know, you're talking about an industry here where if we take this away, the opportunity for the amateurs to go compete on a Friday night or a Saturday night, as you mentioned in your district there, you're taking away their passion. These are people that don't own a boat to go out on Lake Michigan. They don't have tickets for the season with the Bears or the Cubs. This is what they do. Right. Their whole family comes together and works and gets the car ready. They put everything they have into that. This is their lifestyle. This is their hobby. Most importantly, this is their passion. And we're talking about potentially taking that away from them. And if you look at it from a grander scale, Henry Ford, over 100 years ago, drove the sweepstakes, which was a modified production vehicle, to a victory that kicked off what is now the Ford Motor Company. And in a massive industry has come out of that. Yeah. And still to this day, that massive industry utilizes modified production vehicles so they can learn so that we can continue.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Kersting, particular question. The EPA claims that by proposing this rule, they're trying to stop the sale and use of illegal emissions defeat devices. Would this rule in any way assist the agency in this goal?
So a defeat device, by definition, is a part or a modification that will be done to a vehicle on the roadways. There are laws in place, and the EPA and the California Air Resources Board have used them for many, many years to regulate the industry. I think they've even cited instances in some of their recent releases about their enforcement. That's the approach they should be using to address the problem. Find egregious cases and go after those egregious cases. To outlaw motorsports, to outlaw the conversion of vehicles for racing doesn't seem to really be a direct hit.
Well, and to your point, it seems like EPA has the adequate enforcement mechanism to do this. They haven't done that. And it seems as a former prosecutor, if you have appropriate enforcement out there and you send a deterrent message, you highlight a number of cases that are, cases that can be exposed at a higher level, enforce those and send a message in the industry, we're not going to tolerate that.
Right. The law is there. It is, and it's not as if the EPA doesn't enforce at all. So I think if they are really interested to work on this, we'd be interested to work with them and actually have been working with them. We have been having discussions, active discussions with the EPA for the last 4 years. And so I don't know, this is, as I say, it's a surprise, it's an odd tactic. And the issue that we're all gathered here for actually is that there's a proposed rule out there. If that rule goes into effect and it can't be defeated in a court challenge, we're living with the matter that all of this equipment and all of this activity is illegal. We were talking a little bit earlier about having laws on the books that don't get enforced. The matter that EPA at this juncture says, well, we really don't intend to go after race car drivers and their equipment. How could anyone rely on a situation where the activity they're engaged in, which in many cases it requires quite a lot of time and investment, is illegal? It makes no sense.
Thank you.